Hi everyone, Aidan here with etrailer. Today we're going to be taking a look at the Thule T2 Pro XTR platform style bike rack and seeing how it fits on the back of our 2015 Toyota 4Runner. Now, this is going to be a 4-bike rack capable of carrying up to 4 bikes. It's going to be a pretty easy system to use because it makes no frame contact, holds the bike by the front tire and the back wheel. The back wheel is held in by a wheel strap, and that front tire uses a wheel hook. The hook is the thing that primarily keeps this upright and in place, and the back strap provides stability. Now, because of all that, it doesn't make any frame contact, so it's a great option for our carbon frame bike like you see here. It'll work for alternative frame really well too, because we're not relying on that frame contact to hold the bike still. And it does have a total weight capacity across all 4 cradles of 160 pounds. So how you choose to divvy that up is fine. Just make sure you load your heaviest bikes close to the inside. And so that could be anywhere from 4 40-pound bikes, but you could also maybe do some heavier e-bikes on the inner cradles and some lighter bikes on the outside, or just remove that 2-bike add-on entirely. It's just a couple of bolts holding it in, relocate the handle, and if you only need it to carry 2 bikes, it can carry 2 bikes. And in that position, it can support 60 pounds each. Now, with all that in mind, this does have the ability to tilt away with the bikes loaded. They do a nice job at making that accessible by putting the handle on the outside. You will need to lift up a little bit to release some pressure on that release mechanism there, but that'll allow you to tilt it down. When you're doing this, if it's fully loaded and maxed out on weight, do be careful because 160 pounds of bike plus an almost 100-pound bike rack coming down is not easy to manage. So with that being said, it does have hatch clearance with the 4Runner, so if we need to get to the back, we can. Have a place to sit down and change our shoes before or after our ride, we can do that too. And we don't have to worry about our bikes while we're doing it. When you're done, just lift it back up into place. Again, being careful if you've got that fully loaded. That handle will just snap back into place on its own in the driving position and we're ready to go. The front wheel hook here, I do want to point out, also has a built-in cable lock which can twist around your bike and wrap back to itself for an added layer of security. Nice that it's built in and you don't have to worry about forgetting it too. Getting the bike unloaded, we're going to start at the back wheel. That strap can be undone by pressing a button and pulling the ratcheting strap out. And then we can move up to the front tire where we can press in a button on the hook, push up and out. Now when you're doing this, keep a hand on the bike because it will tip if you don't have a hand on it. And at this part, for the innermost cradle, it's easier to just step between the 4Runner and the bike rack. Luckily, there's plenty of room to do that, and I can just set this off to the side. One thing I do want to point out while I'm setting this down is the wheel cradles. There's going to be a couple of different grooves and indentations there to work with a wide variety of different bikes. So I'll point that out on the one closest to you. There's a small groove on the inside for a road bike tire. It widens out a bit for a mountain bike tire and overall for a fat tire bike. Now the straps themselves aren't long enough to accommodate one, but you can upgrade those. And this allows you to carry a wide range of different tire sizes, tire widths that is. And I like when they have the dedicated indentations for the common tire sizes because it does help keep that front wheel a lot more stable. The hook can get folded up here, and this back cradle does slide back and forth to accommodate for different wheelbases, so you've got that adjustment there too. You can even go underneath and loosen some bolts to actually move the whole tray side to side. That helps with bike-to-bike contact throughout the carrier. Now, this does have really good ground clearance on the 4Runner. Your hitch already sits high off the ground. The 4Runner also has good ground clearance. There's a rise in the shank, and even the trays slightly rise one after the other, giving us a ground clearance of 30 inches at the back end. You're not going to have to worry about this thing hitting the ground when you're driving around. The one downside to that high ground clearance is a long way to lift. So loading it up could be difficult if you're maxing out that weight capacity. Just keep that in mind as you're loading it up. But if you're looking to carry 4 bikes and you don't want to do a hanging rack, then this is your way to do it. At least one of the ways. And as far as distance added to the back, from the bumper to the outermost edge of the rack, we're gonna be sitting at 62 inches, just over 5 feet. So again, it does stick out a fair bit from the back of the 4Runner, adding a lot of length. Something to be mindful of when we're parking and driving around. It's gonna add just so much length. So when it's not in use, if you wanna leave it in the hitch, the next thing to do is fold it up. Using that same handle as before, pushing it into place, it'll lock in. And in this state, it is a little bit more compact. Certainly easier to drive around with and park with. Now only sticking out 19 inches, so that's a lot better. But it does block your backup camera, blocks your license plate a fair bit, and your back window a fair bit too. Your taillights on the side do remain pretty much completely visible, so that's good. But the other things will be pretty obstructed, so something to be mindful of when you're driving around with it. If you had this 2-bike extension off, your back window would be much more visible, but same goes for the license plate and the backup camera. Now down at the bottom, there's a couple things to check out. It's got an anti-rattle knob at the very bottom that's going to secure things in your 2-inch by 2-inch receiver tube, keeping it locked up and safe because that hand knob can be locked. But we also have wheels at the back end. So when you do get this out of the hitch and you're looking to store it in your garage or bring it out from your garage to put it in your hitch, you can wheel it away or right up to the car. That's gonna help with transportation because like I said, this is almost 100 pounds of bike rack. Definitely not the easiest to manage, but they do include that to make it somewhat easier. Now, if you're looking for something that's easier to manage, something like a hanging rack could be a solution. You might need bike adapter bars depending on your bikes though, and it's not good for carbon frame. One thing I might look into, honestly, is something like the Hollywood Rack's Destination 4 bike rack. Again, not a good option for carbon frame bikes, but it's way more lightweight. It shares a pretty similar weight capacity of 35 pounds per bike. Works well for alternative frame and kids bikes, and it's a lot smaller. So if you're looking for a 4-bike platform rack, that honestly might be the way to go. This one does have a lot nicer convenience features like the tool-free installation, the wheels, the handle at the back end to tilt it, things like that. But if weight's a concern for you, then that's maybe the direction I would go. Regardless, this has been our look at the Thule T2 Pro XTR 4-bike rack and seeing how it fits on our 2015 Toyota 4Runner. Thanks for watching.